Hello, everyone, and welcome to our episode 4 recap of Survivor Calgary Wild Wild West. I'm joined once again by Krish and Taylor. Taylor, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I realized that I had the recap open on another tab. It started screaming at myself, started screaming at me. Krish, how are you doing today?
Good. That episode was great. The tribe swap introduced a lot of fun, and as we saw, tribal lines might not matter anymore.
Yeah, it's super interesting tribe swap. We don't really have much to discuss before this tribe swap, I don't think, because I think everything before has just kind of blown up. But I am really interested to sort of dig your guys' brains for sort of your thoughts on these new tribes, your thoughts on tribal council. Krish, what do you think of this? Let's actually just go through each member of the Yi tribe here and sort of like talk through. Okay, was this a good move for them? Was this a bad move for them? What? Because I feel like we have enough here that we can really dig in. I guess first off, how do you feel in terms of like how Charlotte could have played this maybe differently to avoid going home, Krish?
Maybe just not mentioning Jared. I feel like that probably was the biggest thing, because that's a lot of leverage then you give the minority to use. Especially when the tribe's only 4 people and obviously one of them split, and Jared knows Alora and Saphir are super tight, and then all of a sudden he hears Saphir and Charlotte are throwing his name out. I wouldn't feel super confident with the 3 other members in my original alliance either.
Yeah, that's remarkably fair. I guess let's talk this through from Jared's perspective, all 3 of us, because I think he is sort of one of the big linchpins in this vote. Obviously, Emily does a big job in swinging the pendulum here as well, but Jared is the one that goes on his original tribe, and goes against trying to get his bounty. Taylor, what are sort of your thoughts on this move for Jared to try and make some friends over maybe making an idol?
Yeah, I think it was a smart play for him, especially since she did throw his name out there. But keeping Joel, I think they do have like a sense of trust with each other. So Jared probably feels like he can keep him around a little bit longer before he does maybe go for that bounty, or hopefully someone else targets Joel for him, and then the bounty will just kind of fall into his hands at that rate. So I think it was a great move. It was amazing episode.
Yeah, super fun to watch. Saphir might be in a little bit of hot water after this. What do you sort of do if you're Saphir here, Krish, to try and sort of reintegrate into the tribe?
Man, that's tough. Try to talk to Jared firstly and tell him that it wasn't me that threw your name out and that it was Charla. And then, he's a super social guy, so just continue chatting the way he is and just making people subconsciously want to keep him around.
Totally, yeah. We see we're gonna have just so everyone knows, we're gonna have Charla and Emily join us shortly here for some questions. We're just gonna talk through sort of this move for everyone first before we hop in, and let's talk a little bit about Emily and sort of her positioning coming into this tribe and now her positioning coming out of that first tribal council. Taylor, what are sort of your thoughts on how this swap went for her?
Well, I think she definitely played it like the best she could have, really. Like going in alone into a tribe of all new people can't be easy. So, just the way she kind of played the middle and went through like every choice she could have made. It's very impressive, actually. It was really cool to watch.
It's actually crazy to think that she came from the tribe that had never been to tribal council before, and then all of a sudden at tribal council when she goes and no one else from original alliance is there, she didn't get 1 vote. She scrambled like crazy, absolutely amazing play.
I think what I really noticed being out there was, and you said how amazing it was with it being her first tribal council, was how confident she approached all of the conversations she came into, where it would be very easy to kind of come in and first try and get a lay of the land, but right away she was like, yeah, I'm the swing vote here. I don't like how those people just talk to me. I want to work with you guys because I have this better connection right away, and sort of forced this through sheer like force of personality and confidence, force the vote to go, at least partially, push the vote to go the way that she wanted here. I was really impressed. Let's talk about the dynamic duo, Ben and Joel. They obviously had a big swing here too. They could have easily just taken the easy path, voted Emily out here, maybe put themselves into a slightly dangerous position further on. Taylor, you know Joel at least kind of. What are your sorts of thoughts on their gameplay here?
I thought Joel also played the middle fantastically there because like you saw Charla and Saphir were giving him a little bit of information, so the way he kind of handled that and went forward with it was yeah, super impressive. What else? Yeah, no, that's about it. It was good middle play.
Yeah, he seemed to be the most sort of, obviously outside of Jared, who was flipping on his alliance, the most hesitant to make this move. He was like, yeah, let's just do something easy. And I'm wondering if that's maybe now, because every single tribal council he's gone to, now 3 of them, he has received a vote. And he just wants to make it further in. Certainly interesting. Well, briefly, before we bring in Emily and Charlotte here, we should briefly talk about the other tribe, because it is important that we talk about the dynamics going on over there. Though the dynamics really do seem to be, oh, hey, we've got 4 uglies here. Ali seems to fit in right away. Alora is very much on the outs of this tribe from first blush. Krish, what are your sorts of thoughts on this grouping here?
Yeah, I feel like Alora really had the toughest draw out of the Yi tribe. The fact that everyone knew that Baron had her bounty and then got eliminated immediately afterwards, like I also would be very worried about her in the future because from like an outside perspective, it definitely seems like she would be the one that was pushing that move to get Baron out.
Yeah, and even if she's like, oh yeah, he was just playing too hard, too fast. Like if you're coming from the outside and you heard what you heard at Tribal Council, you're obviously gonna think a certain way. Though we do still see Maeve and Chelsea looking to potentially target Trent here, or at least put some sort of eyes on Trent. Taylor, what do you see about, like, clearly these people are not meshing, but clearly they are winning a lot of challenges together. Explain how that works to me in any way at all.
I was honestly kind of hoping they'd lose so we could see them scramble a bit and see what would end up happening. But yeah, it's I don't even know. Like, it's just insane. Like Mitch said, like they're never gonna lose again.
They may never lose again.
May never lose again. True.
We'll see if that changes to we will never lose again. It's super possible, knowing Mitch and Trent. Let's bring in Emily and Charla here. Charla joined by a lovely little furry visitor.
Hello.
As we
Big
talk
furry
about,
visitor.
as we talk about this episode. Charla, how does that feel watching it back?
Oh, it hits all the feels. Just brought me right back again to that blind side. That was rough.
I guess it was very much like a blindside for you, right? So how, like, did this sort of, like, the way that it happened, did that sort of make sense with how you sort of looked back on it after you'd gotten voted out?
No. No. It still didn't. It was funny because everybody really heightened mine and Saphir's relationship, which was interesting because Jared was my ride or die, in quotations. Don't mind Bruder, he's the camera hog. It was funny, yeah, that they just kept bringing me and Saphir back into it. Maybe because we were chatting more, they noticed more, but like me and Jared were the ride or die, so that really shocked me that he flipped. That's why I swore when I got voted out.
I do wonder if, like, that was maybe part of it, is that Jared was hearing, oh yeah, Charla and Saphir are super tight, and he was like, wait a second, I'm supposed to be tight with Charla, what's going on here? I wonder if
that could be a thing.
Maybe
that could definitely be it too, because when I threw Jared's name out, I told Saphir right after that I did that. And I said I was just doing it as a ploy when I was talking to Joel, and him and I were having the conversation, and he was throwing us explaining that we were power 3 house that we could take everybody out, I said to Saphir afterwards that I just threw Jared's name out just to kind of ease it a little bit and maybe he could be on our side. But that immediate, that after that conversation, I was 100% thinking Joel is such a huge threat. He's going to come after us. I saw him as a massive threat. I really wanted to work with Emily, and that's what kind of sparked the whole thing. And I can't remember, to be honest, if I told Jared before or after that I threw his name out, but just as a ploy. Anyway, it just kind of all blew up in my face.
Yeah, I mean, that is, especially on these early tribes with such little time, like we saw it in the first episode with Kayla, like the order of conversations and how you happen with and how they happen and just who you happen to be talking with sort of has like a giant effect on the game. Emily, how was it for you watching it back? What was your sort of impression of that episode?
Honestly, like kind of surreal, like putting myself back into that scenario. Like I remember, talking to Charla and, I said on camera, like she's giving me nothing. And I knew that, despite not having been to tribal council before, like I knew enough, like if someone's not giving me anything, it's because they don't want to admit that it's me. And so I felt like I was in a like pretty precarious position, obviously, like having been the only one from Ugly. And I honestly kind of sympathize with Charlotte, like in terms of like, perceiving how close like everyone like thought that you and Saphir were like this. And then I remember like having my own paranoia and feeling like I was on the bottom of the Ugly tribe. And then to hear Chelsea say that she wanted to work with me, I was kind of shocked by that. But no, it was a really fun episode to watch back. And to be honest, like I think the most surprising part was like thinking like, how did I start off with my name being tossed around and then we get to tribal and then I didn't receive a single vote? I don't know how I managed that, but
A lot of chaos happens. I did actually mean to ask you. You said, "Oh yeah, on the Ugly tribe, I was feeling like I was in this precarious position." But from everything that we saw, you did seem to be in a reasonably solid 3 with Chelsea and Maeve. Were those feelings sort of real? Did you play them up at all so that you could maybe portray yourself as someone who is more on the bottom of that power tribe that everyone was focused on?
To be honest, like I think it was a little bit about like I think like I genuinely did believe to some extent that I was on the bottom. Like I think that fear mostly came from the fact that like those first couple of rounds, I guess, like I just felt like I wasn't like part of the conversation too much. Also, my dog wants to make an appearance, so you might hear him in the back.
Yay!
But yeah, like I just I felt like I wasn't like part of the conversation too much, so I felt like kind of on the outs. And then I think like, once the swap happened, I kind of had to use that angle to my advantage to be like, no, like I'm not with them, like I'm with you guys. And then I think like the more I strung that web, the more I believed it. And then I just feel like you see the paranoia play out and it just becomes me versus Ugly.
Absolutely. Taylor, do you have any questions for Emily or Charlotte here?
Yeah. Emily, was it difficult to kind of decide which side to vote with, or were you pretty set on splitting up someone from that 3?
I think like it was like it's not an easy decision. Like I never wanted to vote out Charlotte, but I think
For sure.
like to advance my game, like I think, it was an obvious decision in that respect. And so like, I think, there was never a question about whether or not to align myself with Joel and Ben. It was just like, who do we vote out on the other side?
Right. And Charlotte, if you did find out you were being targeted, would you have tried to throw Saphir under the bus, or like, do you have any plans that you would have tried to do if you did find out you were the target?
No, the biggest thing that I kind of regret is speaking up. I think that me throwing Joel out as a target kind of bit me in the ass. Coming as a person who doesn't know anybody, literally like complete stranger, playing with a bunch of people, you forget that they all know each other. And I don't know if I knew that Joel and Jared were even close before. It's hard to say. I have a terrible memory. But spouting that out, because I always saw Joel as such a huge threat, and I thought like this is the opportunity to get him out. And him and I always had that kind of a love-hate relationship, which is funny. And I just thought that Jared being my ride or die, and I felt really confident in Saphir. I never really would have thrown either of them under the bus. Like, you see me talk about Jared, but that was literally just a ploy to kind of ease up you guys are a power 3 house, we're going to get you out, yada, yada. And that was me just kind of like saving grace. And if I played a relatively like easygoing game, and I just think that if I would have gone with the flow and not spoken up, I think that my game would have had a different outcome, possibly.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Yeah, that's all I got.
Krish, do you have any questions for these two here?
Not game related, but Emily, can we see your dog?
It's like under the table.
Never mind then. It's okay.
Please, do you want to come on? Okay, no. He's
This one.
Oh, there we go.
having way too much fun on the carpet, apparently. He doesn't want to be.
All good. You mentioned your dog, and I got a little excited over here.
Come to my house. I've got so many.
Woo! I'm surprised mine haven't started yapping yet, honestly.
Same.
They slowly learned that you're busy
I
doing
like-
a podcast on Monday night.
Yeah,
There he is. There's
Oh,
Blaze.
Aw,
There we go.
Buddy? Sorry.
wow.
cute.
He finally made an appearance.
Emily, one last question for you. How did the vote land on Charla and not Saphir, for instance?
Yes.
That's a good question. It's so long ago that I feel like I can't remember the specifics, but like I feel like it must have come from like a feeling of like I just maybe felt like Charla was the power broker like in that scenario, and I'm like, well, if any of us want to survive the next couple of rounds, we got to get her out. But that being said, like I feel like it could have just as easily been Saphir. Like it was just Charla.
As someone who has played with Saphir before, he is very easy to underestimate how much he is actually thinking about the game and playing the game. He very much just is that laid-back player that you were sort of describing, Charla, where he is sort of influencing and being this very friendly, sociable person, but no one ever really thinks to be like, oh, hey, we need to get Saphir out now.
And that's kind of it. Like I felt like I kind of just saw him kind of going along with things, and I'm like, okay, like Charla's the one we have to be worried about.
Totally. We have a
Wasn't
question.
me.
We have a question
Now
from,
I know that.
from Keegan here, Charla, if you feel capable of answering it with the dog on your lap. Charla, you
Yeah.
were pretty much with Saphir the whole discussion period. Was there thinking around that, or was it just sort of happenstance?
Just happenstance. Like I think I maybe just what was aired, because Jared and I did have a lot of conversations. Saphir was definitely pulling me in more. I thought it doesn't show in the episodes, but like how close Jared and I were. We really were. Like we had a ride or die final 2 deal. We were so close, and I just kind of thought that we'd always be on the same page. So I think just all of my conversations with Saphir is just how it lays. You have a short amount of time when you're trying to decide if somebody is like who you're voting out in that, the time that you have going to tribal. So you're just like going through everything. So I didn't honestly make as much time probably for Jared because I just thought we'd be on the same page. I just had a lot of trust. I'm a relatively loyal person. I just kind of go with him like, oh, of course we're close. We made a deal. We're going to be on the same page. I never thought that he would rip my heart out and stab me in the back. Love you, Jared.
Oh, it's fair. Like I said, it's really easy for these sort of micro decisions of, oh, I guess I'll talk to this person instead of this person to bite you in ways that you don't necessarily expect. We'll start with Emily. Do either of you have anything else you want to say before we pop back? Just me, Taylor, and Krish here.
I don't know. I feel like you just got to keep watching to see what happens on the season.
Amen. Subscribe to Survivor Calgary. Like and comment. Charlotte, anything you want to say?
This was honestly one of the best experiences of my life. It was so fun. I had such a blast. People are way more calculated than I would ever imagine. Going back into it, I'd have a total different mind frame. It was so fun. You guys did so good. Production was fantastic. All the challenges were amazing. I loved it, and don't trust anyone.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Emily. We'll head back to just me, Taylor, and Krish here. Guys, thank you for joining me again for the episode 4 recap. Anything you guys want to say before we wrap up today, Taylor?
I'm just excited to see this double tribe action for another episode. Hopefully, at least for one more, and then I don't know. I want to see the Haw tribe go through some emotional trauma. You know, we all went through it. It's their turn.
Hey, I don't know, Taylor. You won a lot in All Stars. You didn't go to tribal much either.
It's true, but I did go through the emotional trauma.
True, that came later. Krish, how about you? Anything you want to say here before we wrap up our recap today?
Yeah, no, the first few episodes have been pretty chaotic, and I'm excited for some chaos to continue. As Taylor said, it would be pretty fun if the Haw tribe went to tribal. Nothing against anyone on that tribe, but
No.
You just want to see some new dynamics. You just want to see how they're playing the game. Now, Keegan has actually brought up something important, which is when we've done this podcast in the past, we've always said, hey, who's your player of the episode? And I haven't done that this year, and I've failed at that, but we can fix it now. Taylor, Krish, who are your players of the episode? Your singular player of the episode. Taylor, we'll start with you.
Good question. I think it would go down to Emily, Joel, or Ben today. Probably Joel, just with the way he did play the middle and was given that little bit of information that did end up kind of sinking Charlotte's game. So I'll give it to Joel, and Emily is like right behind though.
Krish, how about yourself?
I'll swap the order to keep it fun. And also, I think like Emily was definitely dealt the worst hand going into the tribe swap.
That's true too. Oh god,
being the only one like from a tribe that had never been to tribal before, and the way that she did not panic and was actually pretty calculated with her conversations was really impressive. I remember when I played and I was on the bottom and it was just panic. Just
it was idle hunting. Yeah, I know the feeling, Krish.
Yeah. So I give it to Emily, but like Joel being involved in all those conversations was pretty impressive, and I think it shows that he's going to be a little bit of a force to be reckoned with for the rest of the season.
Yeah, votes at the first 3 tribal councils, but he hasn't gone home yet. I would just like to note, I guess, that neither of you said Jared. Do you guys think that this move will potentially spell some danger for him in the future? Krish, we'll start with you.
I actually think it's like not a bad move for Jared because it separates him a little bit from the rest of his original tribe. So, like the next tribal council, you would assume that he's probably gonna vote with Joel, Ben, and Emily. So he's probably safe until Marge, and then once Marge comes, he sort of is able to distance himself from that original alliance. So I don't think it was a bad move or anything like that. I just think because he was in a position of power to begin with.
Now he's still in that position of power. It's less of a delta. That makes sense.
Exactly, yeah.
Taylor, similar sort of thoughts from you?
Yeah, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Jared may not have made that move if it wasn't for probably Joel or someone from that other little group mentioning that his name was being thrown out there. But I don't know that for sure. So
something to note if we talk to Jared sometime in the near future, if we can ask him that question, because I don't think I'm particularly sure of the answer myself. Thank you both for joining me. It was lovely to talk to both of you, and I'm excited to chat with you next week as we continue with these swap tribes. Thank you everyone else for tuning in. Subscribe to Live Reality Games, where this podcast is being hosted, as well as Survivor Calgary to catch all the latest episodes. Thank you very much to Emily and Charlotte for joining us today as well. Bye.